So hello everyone, I'm Vi, I'm e-commerce marketing expert at Omnisend, and today I'm very excited for a webinar with Milda, who is back once again to help us create better content, write better copy for our emails, and especially with Black Friday coming up. So for some, Milda is a familiar face. She is our senior content marketing manager. And Milda, would you like to say hello?
Yes, guys. Hello. Hello to everyone new here and to people who come to see my webinars for the third time, I think. So I hope this one will be fun for you too, guys.
It's going to be fun and it's going to be very practical. So take notes and also use this opportunity to ask Milda questions. As I said, Black Friday is coming up. I'm sure you have some questions about copy, how to make it more effective. So this is your opportunity. And before we begin, there's a couple of things to know. This session is being recorded. You will receive the recording in a couple of days. It will include the slides and all the resources that we're going to share throughout. And then if at any point you have any questions, there's a Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. So use that to post questions for Milda. And if you have any general questions, you can post those in the chat because we have customer support there. They're real people, not AI. So be patient and polite. They'll be happy to guide you and help you out. All right, Milda, the stage is yours.
Okay, so let's start with our roadmap for today. So we'll start today with the foundations. Basically, what makes a headline good, the psychology behind all of that, and of course, why is it so critical now in preparation to the upcoming BFCM? Because I'm sure every e-commerce marketer thinks about it now and probably dreams about it too. Then we'll go through seven headline writing frameworks that used by creatives and marketers. So you'll see how they are applied in real life and learn how to use them yourself. And to wrap it up, we'll discuss how to put all it to practice. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin. And yeah. So why headlines matter? So veteran marketers might know what the 80-cent rule is, but it's quite niche, so don't worry if you don't. The 80-cent rule is something David Ogilvy once stated. And for those who are not aware of him, he's a British advertising executive and he was like often called the father of advertising. He founded the very well-known, still active agency Ogilvy and Mather. And yeah, became very, very famous for his like sharp, research-driven approach to marketing. And what he said is that 80 cents of your dollar should be spent on writing headlines, or in other words, the headline does 80% of the work in advertising materials. So it is what grabs the attention, it sets the tone, and decides whether anyone will even bother reading the rest. So he said that in the 60s, but it is very accurate today too, because, you know, in the age of TikTok attention spans, I'm guilty of that too. Your headline is often the only part of your copy people will actually read before deciding whether they care, you know? And in BFCM season, that decision, it happens even faster and like within a fraction of a second, you know? So the headline really carries a lot of weight. Not only it grabs the attention, but it is an opportunity to frame what comes next. So the tone, the promise, the emotion, all of that starts within your headline. So try to remember your favorite headline or slogan you've seen recently or something that stuck with you. Usually it's something very clever, you know? It's like, let's say Nike's Just Do It or Apple's Think Different. But if you look into it, you can see that these type of headlines, they are also super clear. So they don't have a lot of like marketingy jargon, you know? So cleverness, it gets you attention, and clarity, it can get you action. So the best headlines, they hit that sweet spot between surprise and sense, and they give you a reason to pause and instantly communicate to you what's in it for you. So especially during the BFCM season, people are decision fatigued. So if they have to decode your headline, you've already lost them basically. And your goal is to make them feel seen, understood, and even better, or let's say most important, not better, slightly entertained. And yeah, so essentially, in your headline, you want to stop the scroll, you want to give a promise, you want to provide clarity, feel relatable, and create curiosity and trust between your audience. And let's nerd out a little bit. So the psychology behind it. Psychologist George Lowenstein, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering the name, coined the information gap theory. So when we know a little, but not everything, our brains really itch to close that gap. So that's how curiosity is sparked. And honestly, when you think about it, that is how clickbait was born too. So, you can say in your headline that this $12 product outsold Apple's AirPods last month, or in 1 month. And it hits that tension kind of perfectly. It teases you just enough to make you lean into it. But if you push it too far, you go into territory of, Apple's CEO sent us cease and desist. You won't believe why. So, it's very easy to go overboard with that curiosity gap. So you want to open that gap and create that curiosity gap, but definitely not abuse it. Then we have the processing fluency, and the idea is that if something is ready to read, we subconsciously trust it more. So that's why simple, rhythmic headlines usually outperform the complicated ones. And finally, we have emotion plus specificity. So people really remember feelings attached to details. So soft as Sunday morning, for example, sticks way better than just very comfortable. Uh, so yeah, if your headline sparks emotion, it reads easily, it leaves a tiny curiosity gap, it is already working. And yeah, guys, I don't want that for you too. I don't want your BFCM headlines to fail. That is why we are here. And before we even jump into the techniques you can use to write those better headlines, here are some things to keep in mind first. So, BFCM copy, it has one big problem, and it is sameness. So, the first thing that you must stop doing with everyone else is to yell that it is your biggest sales ever. It was a good thing while it lasted, but people are desensitized to it now. So we can all, calmly, collectively take a deep breath and move on from it. And, simply remember that we are humans speaking to other humans. So tell me what I'll feel like after buying, make it specific, funny, emotional, even you can make it weird, just, anything but predictable. And lastly, discounts are fine, but you should really pair them with the story. So, for example, saying, finally afford the sofa your dog isn't allowed on is way more memorable than, 20% off of all furniture. So, yeah. And yeah, now that we got all that out of the way, let's zoom in into actual writing process. So why having a headline framework can be such a lifesaver for marketers sometimes. And when you look at the world's biggest campaigns, they are not written by a lone genius in a room usually. They are built by a huge team of like strategists, writers, designers, psychologists, even, and They're all bouncing ideas of each other until something clicks. But for a lot of us, the reality is that we have to be that entire, creative department ourselves. And creativity doesn't have work hours. You cannot just turn it on when also at the same time you've got like a campaign deadline, 20 Slack messages, and 30 minutes to make something sound smart. So these frameworks, they give a starting line for your creativity. So it basically the same thing as, chords in songwriting or some like recipe templates. You start with a familiar pattern and add your brand's flavor to it. And of course, who knows, maybe your quick idea born from one of those formulas ends up being this next iconic line. So, every legendary campaign actually started with someone testing a pattern and twisting it just the right way. Yeah, now let's get to the fun part and see how you can play around with copywriting. So I've pulled together 7 headline frameworks, techniques, whatever you want to call them, that's been used in many iconic ads. I'll explain how each of them work. And since we're all prepping for like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I'll also show you how it can be adapted to our like retail e-commerce specific cases. Hopefully that will give you that inspiration and creativity boost that is very much needed this season. So yeah, our first technique is called a twisted idiom. And this one is all about taking something familiar, saying like a saying, a cliche, and giving it a clever twist. So you start with the phrase people already know, like a stitch in time saves 9, or don't cry over spilled milk. And then you swap one keyword into something from your brand world. So maybe it's your product, maybe it's just a benefit or an emotion. That tiny twist, it surprises people because their brain expects one thing and gets another. So it's playful, memorable, and instantly feels like your brand has more personality. And here's an example from the wild, from real world. It's Cousin May's "Get the Funk Out" ad. So this brand has a very bold approach to take a phrase that actually has a curse word in it and replace it with something that shows the benefit of their product. So it is instantly recognizable, it's memorable, and we cannot argue that, it's something that really grabs attention. Now here's how else this technique could look in like other headlines. So we have a stitch in time saves you a dime. It's twisted from a stitch in time saves 9 idiom, and it can be used like for fashion brands who want to create urgency with their sales offers. Don't cry over spilled serum obviously comes from don't cry over spilled milk, can be used by beauty brands to infuse some fun and personality into their campaigns. Put your best boot forward comes from put your best foot forward, and it's a low-hanging fruit for like footwear brands when they plan, let's say, a new launch. So there are so many ways to play with this technique. Just, think of some sayings, think what your brand represents, what benefits you have, and, mix and match. It is actually a very, very fun exercise to do. Next one is mirror technique, which is actually sneakily powerful. You basically mirror what your consumers are already thinking or saying. So you take internal dialogue and just put it into your headline. It works because instead of guessing what people care about, you are reflecting back to them. And the goal with this technique is to get people to think, oh my God, this is literally me. So it is how you make your copy feel personal without really overcomplicating it. L'Oreal's classic, everyone knows it because you're worth it, is a perfect example of a simple line that is flipped from a familiar phrase, you are worth it, into a whole brand manifesto. It takes something you might hear as a reassurance from your friend, or it's your own affirmation, and it turns it into empowerment. And that's why it's stuck around for literally decades, because it's sold self-worth and not just lipstick. And here are a couple examples of mirror technique used in like a copy, a headline. I just wanted one candle, I bought five. That's, every shopper's inner dialogue, and it makes people laugh because it is everybody thought that. Maybe it wasn't a candle, but you thought that at some point in your life. I can't believe I waited this long to try it. This one taps into that why I didn't do it sooner feeling, and it is very, very good and perfect for testimonials or even retargeting ads. So, yeah, this technique. It requires you to kind of look a little bit deeper into your audience, kind of analyze a little bit, and see what can you reflect on them. So it can be very, very powerful, just like L'Oreal's, because you're worth it. Okay. Next technique, I really like this one. It's pattern interruption technique. It uses psychology of surprise. So you start with something totally ordinary or predictable, and then you flip it. So maybe your headline starts like a cliche, but then you twist, and force the reader's brain to re-engage because the pattern broke. And it's one of the most effective ways to stop the scroll and snap someone out of that ad fatigue. So basically, make them think they know where you are going, and then take a sharp left turn, just like Liquid Death did with Murder Your Thirst slogan. So this is a masterclass in pattern interruption because, first of all, nobody expects water brand to sound like a metal band. It completely flips the whole tone you'd associate with something as boring as bottled water. But also, we think of water as a source of life, obviously. So to use the murder your thirst words, it really shocks you. It also makes you laugh and instantly tells you that brand doesn't play by the usual wellness rules. Now, here's how pattern interruption can look in other copies. So, first, like, isn't your grandma's eye cream? Or maybe it is. She looked great. You think it's going one way, then it twists, and keeps people hooked. Warning, these leggings may cause spontaneous compliments, so it starts as a disclaimer but ends with a confidence boost. We hate pop-ups too, except this one has 20% off, so it calls out what everyone's probably thinking, then it wins them with this honesty and actually deal. So yeah, as I said, I really like this technique. It's the one that you can really, really go bold with if you up for it. and yeah, so this is, I think, where a lot of bangers are born, with this exact technique. Then the fourth technique is zoom in, zoom out, and it's about perspective. So how close or far you want to bring the reader to your story. You zoom in when you want to spotlight one tiny vivid detail, or you zoom out to show bigger picture. So switching also between those two helps you keep copy alive, and you can go from intimate to grand, from sensory to social proof, and it's a great way to make your headline sound really cinematic. So here's a legendary ad from Apple. So 1,000 songs in your pocket. I know it doesn't sound that incredible these days, but just, think about that time and what a complex tech innovation it was, And this is a perfect zoom out moment, which turned this new innovation into something instantly very human. So instead of talking about gigabytes or specs, they zoom out to show the big picture benefit like freedom, convenience, possibility. And it's said in one very short line. So that's why this ad is kind of unforgettable and I think very smart. Other ways to use this technique, so you can do zoom in, one drop, that's all it takes. That's your cinematic close-up, simple, punchy visual. You can zoom out and start with over 3 million nights improve, and then zoom in again, one pillow at a time. So here you pull back to see the big picture, scale, credibility, social proof, and then zoom in back into your product. So again, uh, interesting technique to very easy, I think, to apply. Just look at your product, look what benefits you have, and see, you know, what can you highlight and zoom in, or what can how can you show the big picture. Next technique is sensory and affective language. With this, we are appealing to senses, of course. The stuff people can smell, touch, or feel emotionally. When you use it in your headline, you want people to don't just read it, but actually feel. Which brings the product itself to life. And it's perfect for food, beauty, home, fashion brands, anything where texture, smell, taste, or atmosphere really sells. So basically, you want to make people imagine how your product feels, sounds, smells, changes their mood. So KFC's finger licking good is pure sensory genius. It's not describing the food, it's describing what it does to you. So you practically taste the crunch, you can feel the mess on your fingers just by reading that line. And taste the rainbow from Skittle is another instant mood. It turns your sensory experience of taste into something visual and very imaginative. So now you're experiencing something very colorful, playful, and even larger than life. So, yeah. Really try this out if you are in those, as I said, food, beauty, home, fashion, retail verticals, let's say, and see, how people will react to those lines. The examples for this technique. So you can go with something like smells like Sunday morning and fresh linen. So you can always smell it, right? It paints the vibe and not just describes the scent. It's so soft, your cat will try to steal it. Again, you instantly feel the texture and get a little smile. It's like sensory and relatable. It sounds like a confidence in a bottle. Really, again, communicates the feeling of using the product. And yeah, on to the sixth technique, which is benefit and obstacle combo. It's a classic persuasion technique. You give people what they want, which is the benefit of your product, and then you remove the main barrier that would stop people from getting that. So you remove the obstacle. It works because it's honest and straightforward. It acknowledges what audience is thinking, like, I want that result, but I hate the hassle. And you are showing that you get it and have an easier way, basically. So M&M's melts in your mouth, not in your hands, is a classic benefit obstacle line. It tells you exactly what you want, a chocolate that melts deliciously and immediately addresses the common frustration is like messy hands. In one short sentence, it promised the pleasure and removed the worry. So for example, Saying luxury scents that don't cost you rent, or glow your skin without 12 steps and $120 price tags. Both show obvious benefits and obstacles removed here. So, again, I think it's a pretty easy and straightforward technique to play around with. You don't have to be this, super experienced creative genius to come up with these things. You just basically need to know what you are selling. And the last one, it's juxtaposition and contrast technique. So here you take two things that normally don't go together and you put them side by side. So that contrast, it creates instant intrigue, and it's powerful because it helps people understand your product through this tension that you created. So soft versus strong, calm versus bold, simple versus smart. You are defining what you are by showing what you are not, basically. And Volkswagen's Think Small is a perfect example of juxtaposition technique. At the time where cars were considered better, big cars were considered better, this tiny headline, it really flipped the expectation on its head. It's simple, unexpected, and it immediately makes you rethink what good really means, turning the perceived disadvantage into like a more bold and memorable moment. So here's how you can use this technique. So for example, quiet luxury meets loud results. So we have two opposites put together. Organized chaos delivered monthly. You instantly get what kind of brand this is. It's fun, it's imperfect, it's human. Uh, Gentle on skin, brutal on wrinkles, so it's a total contrast. You have soft and strong in one line, and that tension is what makes it memorable. And yeah, that concludes the 7 techniques I picked for you today, guys. And before we wrap up, I actually wanted to show you some more creative copywriting, uh, in the world, in the wild, and to do a little exercise if you're up to do that, where I'll show you an example. We'll discuss what it is, and maybe you can try and guess what technique was used there. So why you can check the chat for that and see if anyone would like to answer. I encourage you guys to try and figure it out. And yeah, here's the first one. So the Leave the Cult, Join the Club campaign is by Virgin Active, and it's positioning themselves as a real wellness alternative in contrast to toxic wellness trends. So you can see here that we have phrases like no rest days, no pain, no gain, blood, sweat, tears, and yeah, some of those words they are crossed out, and we are left with rest, gain, sweat. So, what type of technique do you guys think was used here?
Let us know in the chat. What do you think? Let's see how well you've been listening to Milda.
Yeah, I'm giving you guys a few seconds to try and guess.
Juxtaposition, twisted
No,
idiom.
no, but good guess.
Any other guesses in a chat? What is it, Milda? Tell us.
Yeah, let's just go and reveal its pattern interruption. And it is a bit tricky one because as someone guessed twisted idiom, because those are actually very well-known phrases in the fitness world. But technically, it didn't replace any words, so they just crossed them out. You were still able to read the full text, and that is a classic pattern interruption. It stops you with something familiar and disrupts it to deliver the message.
I love it. I think we're gonna see a lot of these aggressive health themed headlines coming new year. So
Mm,
having something different, that could also be very clever.
yeah, and just going with the going completely opposite, not only with the copy, with the technique used of disruption, you also the message you have is, we're doing things differently here. So I think it's the whole campaign was quite strong. Okay, on to the next one. Here, Universities of Netherlands launched a campaign called Teachers Get Promoted. They reframe teaching roles by giving teachers elevated status loaded job titles, so like chief classroom officer, impact facilitator, curriculum consultant, and add a note, aka a teacher. And they aim to elevate the perception of teaching and attract people into the profession. So, what technique with this copy you think was used here?
There's a guess from Laura. Is it twisted idiom?
No. Everything looks like a twisted idiom when you think about it. It could be a very universal. I think when I say no is I don't think it's that, but I'm not saying you are wrong.
Is it the mirror technique?
Exactly. It is a mirror technique. So it speaks to the teacher or potential teachers who might already feel undervalued or wish their professional identity was, taken more seriously. So it all echoes what they might think is that I do more than just teaching. And the new titles in this campaign, they let teacher claim roles they already fulfill but aren't recognized for, which makes the messaging feel like very personal and empowering. So it's a nice example of a mirror technique. And the last one, the body double. It's a campaign by Tuborg Classic. And it did a parody on our tech obsessed world with a fake company called Cyborg Technologies, promising a perfect AI clone of your best friend, one who never cancels plan. And yeah, the whole ad was entirely made by AI, and it playfully highlights the irony. In an age ruled by algorithm, nothing can truly replace a real human. So, what technique does the body double represent?
Is it the twisted idiom this time?
Finally, guys, it is. It is a twisted idiom. It takes a familiar phrase, body double, which is something we associate with Hollywood or cloning, and replaces body with buddy, and that small twist it instantly changes the meaning. So prime example of a twisted idiom. It's recognizable, cheeky, and memorable. So yeah, thank you guys for participating in that. It was fun. And now it's time to wrap up my official part here. And I want you to leave you with some advice on how to put all the things you've learned today into practice. So, first, I'd say start noticing. If you see an ad you like, take a picture, make a screenshot, save a link, collect those, and use it as inspiration. All successful marketers, creatives, they do that. They always consume creative advertising, and they get inspired and they save things that you like. You have your own vault of treasures there. Then you can start playing around with your own content. So these techniques, they can be applied in your subject lines and websites, hero copies, social media ads. So you can really try out different techniques and see what sticks. Definitely don't forget to run A/B tests, because what works in theory not always translates into practice. So you really need to know what your actual audience resonates with. And finally, Still the structure, not the words. You don't ever want to plagiarize, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with being inspired by other creatives. It happens either consciously or unconsciously all the time. That is fine. Just make sure you are not plagiarizing. And yeah, with the BFCM coming this year, I really encourage you to, you know, if you want to chase volume and discounts, fine, but also try to chase authenticity and connection. So write like a human talking to another human with purpose, with wit, with personality. And I promise you, you'll stand out naturally because authenticity isn't something you can fake. And guys, the best part is that now that you know all these frameworks, you basically have perfect prompts for AI. So make use of Omnisend's AI assistant in email builders, share the technique, give the context about your brand, and see what it comes up with. It'll really speed up the process and either give you a perfect line immediately or give you a great base to work from, because that's usually often happens. And yeah, it's very convenient. You don't have to go to other tools. It's inside the product, so no jumping through tabs, copy pasting, and so on. So, yeah, that'll be all from me today. Thank you so much for listening to me. And Vi, take over.
I'll take over. Vanessa saying very helpful and a fun webinar. So thank you, Milda.
Thank
I
you.
like that is so cute and it was so much fun. We'll definitely have you back.
I'll come back, you guys.
If anyone has any questions, now is the time to post it in the chat. And while you're typing those out, Milda, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Um, So you're so smart and clever, and we have all these ideas now, and I'm not that, and I'm running a business and thinking, brainstorming, it takes time. So what do I do? Like,
Oh my
I have
God,
other
Vi, I
things
have a
to do.
perfect answer for you. Look, go to this slide and talk to AI. Honestly, yeah, it's like I'm half joking, half serious. Really, with brainstorming, AI helps a lot, especially when you give the more context you give to AI, the better, the output you will get. So if you are very short on time, you don't have any spare time to do a lot of brainstorming. Do that. Talk to AI, and then when it comes to just gathering inspiration from outside, you don't you can dedicate the time to do that, or you can just be conscious about it and try to remember when you're out and about, when you scroll on the internet. I often I make screenshots and like of whatever ads I see, if I like something. Also a very good place to go and check some cool ads of the world, like great website, for email campaign ideas and copies and designs. You can go to really good emails. Like, these are real examples of people, what real people are doing, real brands are doing. And I think I gather a lot of inspiration from there too.
And I would also add, as in the beginning you mentioned, most of those ads and the headlines, they've been created by big teams. Lots of
Yeah.
money went into those taglines. So there's been investment. So if you save those screenshots, save the ads that you like, that's half work done for you. Just
Yeah, 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 yeah. If somebody did the work already, you shouldn't waste it.
exactly. Another question I had for you at the beginning, you mentioned the clickbaity techniques, and I love
Hmm.
the examples. I was like, yeah, that sounds so cool and fun. And I'm thinking, well, everyone's going to be sending out emails. I want to stand out in the inbox with my emails as well. Why can't I go clickbaity? Like, it's fun, it's effective, it gets the open emails. Like,
I
what's
believe,
your
yeah.
approach?
I believe in ethical clickbait because, clickbait can be something completely not true, like absolutely misleading. You don't want to do that. Gmail will block you if you do that. They kind of can connect the subject line and the content in your campaign, so it has to be true, But I think, yeah, there are ways to be playful with that clickbait. So what I have in mind is, be ethical and don't lie, but have fun. You can actually have fun and still, don't lie to your audience.
Absolutely. And that's a great segue into the other question I had. So, there's Black Friday coming up, Cyber Monday, and of course, as any business, I want to maximize my sales. I want to maybe promote those offers that I have. And sometimes it seems maybe I can just use very plain copy to get people to understand again what offer do I have and what they're gonna get. And from my experience, I've seen some brands abandon their tone of voice, being like, well, I just want clarity for my customer because, of course, they're shopping for best offers during Black Friday. What would be your advice here or insights? So I'm a brand, I'm not sure. Do I stick to my tone of voice? Do I double down on it? Or do I go plain but straightforward and clear so people know what to expect from it?
I was thinking about something very similar today, about how I, I was thinking how good copy dies, actually, and it dies when you want to say everything in a very, very short, short amount of like text, short, like a small real estate, per text. And it's the same, if you want to just push all your deals, you kind of lose, the story behind it. You lose all the uh, character that you've built and the connection with your audience. I don't have one right answer. I think both ways can work, and it really depends on situation. If you are a brand that only has price going on for it, do it, milk it as much as you can. If you're a brand, and I think a lot of you guys are like that, have something to offer above the product, it's like it's solving a real problem. And you have, maybe returning customers and so on, then it's important to put a little bit trust into your audience. It's very difficult, but it is important to put a little bit of trust and believe that you don't need to shove everything into their faces, and you can have that. That conversation with them, keep your tone, tell your story, be fun, show your personality, but yeah, again, I say it really depends on the context. I think everything and anything can work to somebody. If you're selling something, somebody will buy it, so yeah, and if you are somebody that never tried that, A/B test, pick an audience that you think you can experiment with and try doing that, plain whatever language. Maybe for Black Friday, when actually we a lot have the just the deals going on, we have really great deals. Maybe that will work, So yeah, I don't have a straight answer. The answer is it depends.
You need to A/B test it.
Always, everything in life.
It kind of reminded me of this one case I had with one of my clients where we kind of were debating this approach. Should we change any of our tactics when it comes to Black Friday sales? And we ran a test before it. So there's still time, okay, if you want to do it. And what
Yeah.
we've done is we A/B tested staying true to the tone of voice and then just having the plain, straight to the point, here's the offer kind of subject lines. And then we actually seen those plain, not ton of voice-based subject lines underperform. And I spoke with one of the customers who didn't buy using those plain headline subject lines. Of course, it's one person, so it's not
Yeah.
scientifically valid conclusion, but it made this idea and understanding that they said, well, I'm so used to seeing subject lines that represent you, so in your tone of voice, that I just didn't see it as an email from you. It was just a random offer email. So that's just
Mhm.
something I thought about. So if you are changing it on the day of the big sale of Black Friday, people might just miss you because they don't recognize your tone of voice.
Yeah, it may look like a, even a scam, like if they're used to something. So definitely test it out with like a smaller audience, collect feedback maybe even, and only then, you know, make decisions, like big decisions about Black Friday sales tactics.
Fantastic. Alrighty, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you everyone for being here today. Again, you will receive the recording in a couple of days. We'll include the slides so you can save it, not just for Black Friday, but also going forward. Make sure you A/B test all the techniques, see how it can work for your brand. And Milda, thank you so much for being here. It was so much fun. And as
Thank
someone
you.
said, this was the best Black Friday webinar ever. And
You
it's
guys.
so cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It was fun talking to you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.